Okay, so welcome parents. Welcome to our virtual curriculum night. And so in this 15-minute video, hopefully 15, we're going to talk about four things. Okay, so yeah, all right, let's get started. Okay, all right, so as I have talked about just moments ago, we're going to talk about four things for curriculum night today. So the first thing that we want to talk about is what's the goal for the year, all right? And then I want to show you what the topics are and how they're weighted on the region's exam and how that would reflect in the way we teach this year, okay, with some examples. And then I want to talk to you about the grading policy, okay? And then lastly, and perhaps just as importantly, what the supply list will be for this year and actually beyond. All right, so okay, the first question is perhaps it's the elephant in the room, all right, which is there even going to be a Regents exam? Because last year the Regents exam was canceled. Okay, so I don't know if there is going to be a Regents exam come this June. Okay, and even if they do, I'm not sure if they're going to administer it during June of 2021. Okay, because they might, when the students go on to high school, that first break that they get in January, that Regents week that they get, their schools might just very well have them take an exam, and it might be a school-to-school thing. Who knows? I don't know. Okay, I'm speculating here. So there might be a Regents exam. I don't know, but at some point, if they were to take the Regents exam, then we have to get them ready for the exam, whether it's at this school or when they're taking it in high school. Okay, so that begs the question, all right? This is the big question for me and the students also, which is how fast should we go? Because if there is a Regents exam, then we're already behind, right? Because the first 7 days of school were postponed. So, and on top of that, we're also losing some periods over the course of the year. So it's a huge hurdle to climb. Second, if there is no Regents in this coming June, then I have a strategy in mind and a game plan that we can carry out, which is something like going at the regular pace without having to go too fast, because I don't want to lose the students if I go too fast. There's no benefit in going fast. Okay, it's not by itself, it's not a positive attribute. So that means that I would like them to get as much understanding as possible. All right, not spending a day longer, but not staying for not going a day too fast either with the curriculum. So should that happen, that means there's going to be some curriculum that's going to be left over by the end of the school year, and I have a strategy in place to help them catch up. Okay, so yeah, all right. So let's see. And then also for the first 2 months with the high school applications and auditions going on, I'm taking a slightly slower approach with that, okay? And then when we get closer to the Regents, really gonna ramp up the schoolwork, okay? Now, Regents or not, they need the skills for high school, because a lot of the things that they learn, they're gonna use it when they get to even geometry in the 9th grade, and then algebra 2 in 10th grade, and then afterwards in pre-calculus, and then should they choose to, either in college level AP calculus AB or AP calculus BC. So they're going to need those skills down the line, okay? So all right, so that's the goal for the year. All right, next, grading policy. As I am making this video right now, I am uncertain as to what the grading policy is going to be. Is it going to follow what we had during lockdown last year? I don't know. So I'm still waiting word for that. Okay. I checked the website today, but I checked the city website today, and there isn't anything yet. Okay. Also, just want to let you know, I've taught I've taught nearly half the students that I had in 6th grade. So, wait, how should I rephrase this? Yeah, so of the students that I have in the 8th grade, half of whom I taught in the 6th grade. So many parents are already familiar with the fact that I use Excel, all right, and I'm not going to use pupil path, which also means that there's going to be a student ID. Now, this is not the OSIS number, that unique 9-digit ID every student has. Instead, I assign every student to a 4-digit randomized number, okay? So that way, even when I email the grades home on the Excel spreadsheet, no one's gonna know, like, anyone else's grades, okay? It's not gonna be identifiable. So with that said, at some point, I would email you guys with the student ID numbers, all right? I know what some of you might be thinking. You might be thinking, Mr. Ring, it's kind of old-fashioned, right? You're still using Excel. I don't 100% disagree with you, but the Excel spreadsheets allow me to do several things. One is if, and this happens all the time in the 8 years I've been here. If a student gets a 60, right, on an exam, and they're thinking, hey, how would this affect my average? I can tell them right away. Not that I can't do that with pupil path, but then the follow-up question would be something like, what happens if I get 100 on the next 2 exams? What will my grade look like? I can tell them that at the push of a button. So I can tell them that within 5 seconds. Okay, if you get two 100s, this is what it's gonna look like. And so I think that's a good functionality to have. The other thing is, I think it's better off for students and I to continue to work on tangible data skills, meaning not just entering the data into a software interface, but instead working with numbers and at least get them used to looking at Excel spreadsheets, because believe it or not, like, that's still a very useful skill to use in the workplace. So I want to stick with that. All right. Lastly, even if they submit assignments on Google Classroom or exams, it doesn't necessarily determine grades, because sometimes students, when they submit assignments on Google Classroom, they will submit it and you guys will see that they submitted it, except that sometimes the assignments are blank, like the students left it blank on purpose. So it looks like they submitted the assignment, but they actually didn't. They just found a way to work around that, okay? So either way, yep, I'm gonna go with Excel, and I made a video about a few years ago that talks to you about how to view it, okay, should you need it. Okay, all right, so these are the topics. How are we doing on time? Oh, wow, okay, all right, 7 minutes. Okay, all right, so these are the 4 topics for the year. All right, the first one is numbers and quantity. I'll show you some examples. And these are the weight in credits on the Regents exam that reflects how much time we're going to spend on each of these topics this year. So, and if there's time, all right, we can review at the end of the year, but it doesn't matter, because at the end of every single lesson, every single day, the practice comes from all Regents questions. So they're actually reviewing for the Regents every day in a way, okay? All right, so these are some examples of a number and quantities. If you like, you can pause and take a look at some of the examples. All right, so this is the unit that we just finished, all right, radical numbers. So that's that. And then the next topic is algebra, which we will spend the next unit on, all right? And it's gonna take about a month, because they're just, at the end of this unit, they have to be able to solve any equation, all right, left, right, and center, and forward and backwards. They have to solve every single equation that comes up, okay? So that's why it takes a month, all right? So these are some of the examples. So if you want to press pause and take a look. All right, now obviously we're not going to do all of these examples within the next month, because some of these, like systems of equations, they come back much later, okay, after the New Year's, as a matter of fact. The third topic all right, a functions. So that's unit 3, but then it keeps coming back, okay? So we're gonna talk about the definition of a function. What do functional graphs look like? All right, parabolas. All right, so some of you might remember that, right, when you guys were back in school. And lastly, statistics and probability, that's the last topic of the year. So it's about 5 to 10%. So right now, as we speak, I think this is the topic that we are going to be in quite a bit of rush to finish toward the end of the year. But again, if there are no regions, then I have a plan in mind, okay? That should get them ready for the regions and high school, okay? Come fall 2021. Okay, all right. So supplies, okay, all right, we're almost there. 10 minutes, let me guess. Yep, 10 minutes, not bad. All right, so supplies, this is actually very important. All right, so you can read this on your own, all right, with the supplies. We're not gonna use a textbook, okay? Not that the textbook isn't good, but I think with me planning the lessons, all right, making the videos, assigning work on Delta Math, and then showing them regions exam questions when we practice every day, there's really no need for them to use a textbook, okay? It just doesn't add anything to what we're doing. 3 things that are really important for them to be successful this year, especially in a blended/remote environment, all right? Because that's what we're still really staring at. It's, would we go fully remote, right, at some point? So for them, they have to have a TI-84 calculator. Now, if they're in school, we would provide one for them, but again, like, I think students should actually just purchase one, okay? Now, if there are older siblings in the house that are in high school, they probably purchased this already. And if not, then consider this a family heirloom, so to speak, because when the 8th grade students are done, they could pass this on to their younger siblings. And I gotta tell you, when I was a kid, like, we would go and like buy these, all right, and people still have them, 25 years later after high school. Like, it's just like they have not changed anything in the last 25 years. The other thing is they should probably have a printer, because it makes the lesson go smoother. They don't have to copy the questions. They could just print out the worksheets that we're using in class, so that helps a lot. And lastly, if Zoom gets approved by the city as one of the modes of meeting online, a writing tablet is a complete game changer, because Zoom allows us to write on the screen, and so can the student. So that means I can see what the student is writing and the mistakes they're making, and I could point out to them. So they don't have to they don't have to hold a notebook to the camera, so to speak. Okay, it's a complete game changer. So that's why I put a GIF down here. All right, it's a complete game changer. Okay, all right, so I think that's all I gotta say. All right, yeah, 13 minutes, not bad. Okay, all right, so let me stop right here. Any questions? Again, please feel free to write me, and if that's the case, I can also give you your student ID number. All right, so okay, thanks a lot for watching, and have a good day. Bye-bye.
OMG, that was so good.